By now, most of you in the saber community or those who are looking into lightsabers have come across a term called Neopixel. Now, Neopixel is a trademark term from a company called Adafruit. They make LED strips and all that kind of stuff, but more broadly, it's used to define or describe a type of lightsaber that we call Neopixel, which obviously are pixels inside of a blade. The common technology for the longest time was a single cree or a tri-cree saber, which means that there were LEDs in the emitter of the saber, and there was a hollow tube, something like this. It was just a hollow tube with a mirror or something reflective at the end, so that light kind of permeated throughout the blade and tried to be as even as possible, which is kind of hard with a regular style saber or a regular style saber, single cree, tri-cree. But there has been a revolution in the lightsaber technology over the past 4 or 5 years, which is Neopixel. Neopixel is currently the brightest form of lighting, the brightest lighting style for lightsabers, and that it will probably not change. There'll probably be different ways to make Neopixel blades, but I don't foresee anything being brighter than Neopixel, at least for the time being. It's going to take a lot to kind of, blow that out of the water. But for right now, Neopixel is the pinnacle of lightsaber technology. It goes in different names. You'll find Neo Saber. That's one that Sabertrio uses. You'll find Pixel, Proffie Pixel, Plector Pixel. It all means the same thing. Xenopixel is just a type of Neopixel saber that LGT sells. LGT and their resellers, they sell Xenopixel sabers. All it means is that they are pixel blades, which means that you have cool, intricate effects, blaster block, localized lockup, the scrolling effect of ignition and retraction of a blade, all of which you can see right here. Which are a bunch of things that I've shown on this channel plenty of times, and that you've likely seen many times throughout YouTube, TikTok, all that kind of stuff when it comes to lightsabers when you're looking into them. Neopixel is the pinnacle of lightsaber technology. There are a lot of people that are really only interested in lightsabers for dueling, which, when it comes to Neopixel, is not necessarily where they shine. Neopixel sabers, although they are better in terms of how bright they are, the effects, people see them as more brittle, less durable when it comes to battling, dueling, hitting sabers together. Neopixel isn't exactly what you want when you're going full contact dueling, because there are LED pixels, pixel LEDs within the blade wall itself. Now, those can get expensive. There are blades out there, a common KR Sabers V2 blade, a Neopixel blade. Those run for about $120, $130 if I remember correctly. Some people sell them for more. They're worth about $130. So if you were to break a KR Sabers blade because you're dueling with it, not only do companies like Bendu Armory who sell those, they don't warranty those for dueling because they are a different kind of pixel. Those can get expensive if you decide to duel with those. Regular pixel blades go for about $100 these days. With normal pixels, non-KR pixels, those go for about $100. Companies like Bendu Armory, they do warranty those for dueling, and the owner of Bendu Armory, Andrew, he has literally hit those blades on a tree before to prove how durable these sabers are and how durable these blades are, and you can do stuff like that with Neopixel blades. However, some people prefer not to take that risk, and if you're buying these blades from a company that doesn't warranty those blades for dueling, then you are always going to be at risk of having to buy a whole new blade if you do something wrong with it. That aside, that's not the main point of this video, but there are ways to remedy that. Now, what I have in this video, which is essentially what this video is about and why I'm pushing people so much to get Neopixel sabers, is because not only if you have a Neopixel saber do you have a Neopixel blade, but you have the option now to use a tri-cree saber with your Neopixel saber. A tri-cree blade, a hollow blade, because of a nifty little invention like this. What this is called a Neo-Cree module. This particular one was created by Stock Custom Works and in collaboration with War Sabers in Russia. This is a Neo-Cree module. So if you look at the bottom, this is exactly what you see with a Neopixel blade. At the bottom of the blade, you'll see a blade side PCB, just like this. And then this will attach to the pogo pins on the saber when you have a Neopixel saber, and then that will allow whatever, your blade to alight. Now, this is obviously different than the bottom of a Neopixel blade, because the bottom of a Neopixel blade will have this PCB, it'll have some wiring, or it'll just be directly soldered to the bottom of the PCB, and then that's where your LED strip starts, and that's where your blade is. This is different because you have the PCB, which is connected to a tri-cree LED module. So if I can get it to focus, you can see one's red and the other two are two different colors. This is a tri-cree. So the technology that was in sabers for the longest time, I actually have a tri-cree saber right here so I can show you what I'm talking about. This is a Sabertrio Arclight. This is a tri-cree FX saber from them. What you see in there is pretty much the exact same thing you see in here. This is a tri-cree saber. This is a tri-cree module. Now, what this means is that you can take this, drop it into your Neopixel saber. So for example, this is a Sabertrio Sologaard, if you can see the pins in there. So this part attaches to those pins in there, and once you have it sitting on there, what you do is you take this, I have a blade here, and what you do is you take this piece and you just put it into the bottom of a blade, and it kind of snaps in there. That's staying in there, that's not coming out. So now what looks like a Neopixel blade, it doesn't feel like a Neopixel blade because this is obviously lighter than a Neopixel blade. What looks like a Neopixel blade is not. This is a tri-cree blade with a Neopixel adapter. So what does that mean? That means that you drop this into a Neopixel saber, you can swap your Neopixel blade for a tri-cree blade, a hollow blade, and now you're able to duel with it. You have tri-cree functionality. That means that you don't get the ignition and retraction effect like a Neopixel blade, obviously, because there's no LED strips within this blade. The light is contained within this tiny little module. That's the lights. There's nothing else inside this blade. You just drop this in there, and this is as bright as a regular tri-cree saber. This is a really, really interesting technology. I'm really glad they have something like this, because there's a lot of people out there that I know are very dead set on tri-cree sabers, and that really limits their amount of options out there, because a lot of companies tend to not focus on tri-cree. The budget options like LGT sabers, those focus on tri-cree a lot, but they also have Neopixel sabers. But companies like Sabertrio and Bendu Armory, while they do sell tri-cree sabers, they also sell Neopixel sabers. But if you wanted a tri-cree saber and a Neopixel saber, guess what? Just pick one of these up. I believe they're about $20, $30. Last time I checked, actually it's $45. This is, you drop this in there, you pick up a regular hollow blade. Hollow blades don't cost that much, if I remember. Somewhere between $20 to $50, depending on where you're buying it from, for a high quality hollow tri-cree blade. You pick one of these up, you pick one of those up. You have both a Neopixel saber and a tri-cree saber, meaning you have the cool functionality of, the ignition and retraction effects, localized lockup, blaster blocks, all that stuff. But whenever you want to duel with it, you take that hollow blade and you take this, you put it in your saber, and you're ready to go. You have nothing else you need to do. This makes it a dueling saber. And here's the product listing right here. I found this on Etsy. This is Saber Bay. Saber Bay is pretty much a legend in the saber community when it comes to selling stuff. Stock Custom Works War Sabers RGB Neo-Cree module. This is the exact same thing I have right here in my hands. You have the RGB tri-cree right there, the PCB on the bottom that connects to, it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but those are pogo pins on the inside of the saber. That's what it'll look like, and that's what it'll kind of look like. Sabertrio uses kind of the same sort of technology for their blade plugs. On the bottom part of this is essentially one of these, but way smaller and a little less powerful, because it's meant to only illuminate the blade plug. But this is one that is meant for a full-length blade, so it's obviously a lot more powerful. But Stock Custom Works War Sabers RGB Neo-Cree module, $45. I'll leave a link to this in the description below. RGB Neo Tri LED Neo-Cree module, an adapter to go from Neopixel to RGB Tri-Cree LED. You don't have to do really anything else for that. This is a 1-inch diameter sized module, and it's approximately 15 millimeters in total height. So make sure you have enough depth in your emitter before you buy this. Otherwise, you're kind of just going to be out of luck there, because this is only meant for a certain amount of depth in the saber. This will be linked in the description below. This isn't sponsored. This is just something I got because I was very interested in them. when they first came out. So why get a Neopixel saber? Because you have that option to have all those cool effects. You have, this very bright saber. You have a great blade. It's very clean looking. It's very uniform throughout the blade. You can do whatever you want with it. You can customize it a whole lot. You have the option to use Proffie, CFX, Golden Harvest, the Xenopixel board that LGT uses that supports Neopixel functionality. It's not customizable like CFX, Proffie, Golden Harvest, all that kind of stuff is. It's not the same thing, but that utilizes Neopixel technology. Neopixel is the pinnacle right now, other than Smooth Swing, which applies to sound, obviously. Neopixel, in terms of lighting, is the coolest thing we have now, the most realistic thing, the best thing we have. So Neopixel is where you want to go if you want a saber that looks real as of right now. If you want something that sounds real, you need a Smooth Swing soundboard, something like Proffie, CFX, Golden Harvest, blah, blah, blah. But if you are interested in Neopixel, this is definitely something that you want to check out, because it makes you able to have not only a Neopixel saber, but a tri-cree saber that you can duel with. This is something that it's a little less likely to break if you duel with a hollow blade with one of these as compared to a Neopixel blade. Most Neopixel blades nowadays are made so well that they're not going to break if you just hit it one time. Now, if you're smacking the ever-living you-know-what out of it on a tree, and that's not warranted, you're kind of asking for the saber to break and not to be covered under warranty. But this is an option now, and I'm glad that this is an option. I know the Pock Store also sells one of these, but this one and the Pock Store one had been sold out for forever, and I just saw these back in stock recently, so I decided to pick one up. So I wanted to do kind of a quick review in this video, and I'm going to show you a little bit here in a clip in a second. But I just wanted to talk about this because this is a really cool invention, and I'm really glad it exists. Now, the colors, obviously, if you're comparing the colors on this and a Neopixel, the colors on the Neopixel are going to be much more accurate. This is a tri-cree, meaning you have red, green, and blue. So you're kind of limited to mixtures of those three colors. So a white with this is not going to be white. It's kind of like a weird light purple pink color, which is fine. I mean, that's sort of what you expect with a tri-cree saber anyway. It's the same thing with one of these, a saber that's already tri-cree. You shouldn't expect highly accurate colors with a tri-cree because of the way that is made. There is different ways you can make tri-cree sabers with a red, green, and a blue, or a blue, blue, and a white, or green, white, and a... there are different ways that you can make the tri-cree LEDs in the saber, but this one is an RGB, meaning red, green, and blue. So every color that you get, this thing is going to try to do it with a combination of colors red, green, and blue. So in terms of color accuracy, it's not 100% accurate as compared to Neopixel, which is understandable because it's almost physically impossible to do that with something that only has a mixture of three colors, and especially those three colors. So I'm going to show you some clips here in a second, just show you kind of a little bit of the functionality of this thing, how easy it is to use, and what it looks like. So thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video, and may the Force be with you.
Sabertrio